Hello and welcome. It's March 2 of the pod presented by Eternal Roofing. Coming in close to on time at 6 o'clock tonight.
Close.
Give us a little leeway. It's the first week of school. We're all having to adjust.
Yeah.
And Ben's returned from summer camp. We're going to ask him how his summer camp was. All of that tonight. This is season 4, episode 3. Listen, Ben had a camp visit. We have a sponsorship deal. That's a big thing to talk about. We got soccer last night. The season has begun for soccer. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to preview the skill positions. I'm Cory Hogue, your host, producer. I once banned, catfans.com member, probably banned again. I don't know. Permanently banned, though, from X Twitter right now. You can find me on Facebook, YouTube, and other social media channels at Cory Hogue Sports, CORYHOGUE Sports. I'm joined by the co-host, analyst, real ball knower of this podcast, the reason you're listening. He's the man behind Sports of SHSU on Twitter and Instagram. Proud Bearkat himself, Ben Sorrells. And Ben, let's get right into it. Last week, Texas State University System had their Board of Regents meeting, and there was a surprise announcement in there that we didn't know was coming. They have good news. We're starting a podcast again with good news, Ben. What?
We're keeping the good times going.
What the hell's happening at Sam Houston? You're doing good things. First community credit union sponsorship, $6 million over 10 years. That is not chump change, and it's a fantastic start. Ben, your overall thoughts on this for this deal itself?
It's great. I mean, first of hopefully many, but it's good to see the ball rolling on a pretty significant agreement. Comes out to right at $600,000 a year, which, isn't going to drastically change anything, but it's $600,000 you didn't have. So it's good to see things moving in the right direction. Doesn't sound like it's going to be the naming rights sponsor for anything, but they're going to, it'll be the first community credit union rivalry game or like homecoming week. And then they'll have stuff throughout the stadiums. And they're also partnering with the university on the education side for some financial literacy. So a lot of good things involved with this partnership.
Reading is important. I still don't know how to do it. First Community Credit Union is going to receive marketing, like you said, sponsorship opportunities, including facility signage, game day sponsorships, but not naming rights. And I think that's a big deal. Also, I would accept a deal similar to that for uniform sponsors.
Yeah.
Right? I think
on-field sponsors.
On-field sponsors, it would be less, but why? I mean, we should line the outside, especially of the end zones, maybe not where the players on the sidelines are blocking it, but you should have the end zone areas lined with sponsorships and advertisements, and eventually a naming rights for Bauer Stadium that I think, based off of this, could bring in well over $1 million a year.
And if that's what you do, I mean, that is pretty good value. I mean, Texas Tech just came in at $5 million a year. So, I mean, coming in at 20% of Texas Tech, I feel like that's a pretty good valuation. $1 million a year, I think, would be a good number if you can get to that.
Okay, so I'm a man of the people. And before we get to this, Jason, I saw your comment. I'm going to give you my thoughts. But first, let's finish this part here. The agreement was facilitated through Van Wagner. And that is a company Sam Houston has selected to manage its athletics multimedia rights and corporate sponsorship operation. I especially have been harsh on Van Wagner at times. Credit where it's due. This is what we want now. Again, it's a start, but this is exactly what we're looking for. Let's get more of that going.
Yeah, and I mean, it can't be the end. It's a start, but it cannot certainly be the end.
If it's the end, it's not enough.
Yeah.
It's a one-off is not enough. Okay, man of the people time here before we get to our first break. Jason Plotkin, watching on Facebook. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone watching Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter. Would love to hear, and why he wants to hear this, I don't know. Cory share insight on the Tulsa Little League saga this past week. For anyone not aware, I am a huge baseball fan, and I love Little League World Series, College World Series, all the MLB. Like, you know, the Field of Dreams game is coming on here in like 20 minutes, right? I can eat up all that stuff. I love it. And I was watching the Southwest Regional. I am such a I don't know, a sicko, I guess is the word for this, that I am looking up the regional championship dates about 2 or 3 weeks ago so I could get on and watch the Southwest region every year. And look, Tulsa, supposedly, they were good this year. They've been there every year. They're usually 0-2 in barbecue. They are, right? Louisiana, Texas are the best. New Mexico and Oklahoma fight it out for the rest. Maybe Mississippi, throw them in there. I think they come into that region. But they're not usually all that good. It's either Louisiana or Texas. And there's 2 Texas teams. There's Texas East and Texas West. And somehow Bernie is West. I guess you can't divide it up just by land, right? You got a whole lot of East and not a lot of West population-wise, if you look at it that way. Anyhow, Tulsa Little League, they won. They beat Ascension Parish in Louisiana. They got to the championship game of the regional, and then a protest was upheld. From what I can understand, they played a player in the state tournament that was ineligible, which, listen, if that's the case, you shouldn't have even been at the Southwest region. Here's what's really interesting to me, Ben. It's not just their baseball. Tulsa softball was eliminated from the Southwest regional of the softball Little League regional a couple weeks before. So this is, shocking. Oklahoma people are cheating. Ooh, surprise there. But this is a real Tulsa thing. And then somebody, I don't remember her name, but she came out with a thing this morning. Now SI is looking into this stuff. And she wrote a piece about how the Oklahoma Little League softball state tournament only had 3 teams, and like one of them was actually eligible. Listen, I hate it. We are messing and trying to cheat at Little League baseball and softball. How low can we get? I'm not surprised. That's what people do. You want to try to win, just do it the right way. Good Lord, it's aggravating, especially as someone who loves this game. And look, I feel for those kids from Oklahoma, because that kid that was on the mound, that's been on the mound a couple of years now, that kid can throw the ball. He shut down Ascension Parish. And then, so you get the Little League upholds the protest. They poll, they say Tulsa's ineligible. So then the next night, they say the game between Ascension Parish and whoever wins between Texas East and Texas West is going to be the champion. It ended up being Texas West and the Bernie Little League. Bernie Little League jumped all over Louisiana in the first inning, 4 runs. Not that I was watching or anything, but 4 runs. and took that lead and went on to the title. Then after the game, there's a judge in Waco who the very next day granted one of the Baylor players a 5th year in this whole eligibility mess we got going on. That same judge said, whoa, I'm going to put an injunction here. And Oklahoma's playing Bernie tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, as scheduled. And Bernie's like, we're not there.
Yeah.
We're not even at Waco anymore. We all left. And so Little League asked him to overturn it. He did, but 2 hours before it was supposed to start. That's just a mess.
Yeah.
I am so tired of that. I just hate it for the kids. It's not fair at all. And as someone who was a part of a Little League team that was pretty good, I will was not a big player on it, but the team was pretty good, and we went to state tournaments and played against some of these teams. One year we played against Spring, Texas, who had been in the Little League World Series the year before, and they beat us like 20-0, right? They were good. But I still have that love and that passion for it. Of course, as a coach, too. That's part of why I do it. Man, it just drives me nuts.
I hope the kid pulls out, I forget what movie it's from, where it's like the I Am 12 thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's just what I thought of.
At the end of the day, the kids are the ones that get hurt. The parents are the parents and all the other – they're the ones that look ridiculous in this. Stop ruining kids' sports. You're already ruining all the other sports for us. Stop ruining the kids' sports, for crying out loud. All right. Jason, I hope you got your money's worth out of that.
I think we did.
I think you did. Hey, but we're going to come back here, and we're going to talk about Ben's trip to summer camp. Fall camp, but it was in the summertime. It's hot down there, I'm sure. Pretty
Very
humid
hot,
probably
yeah.
in Huntsville. We're going to talk to Ben about that, his views from the football team. But first, we're going to hear a word from our friends over at Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them Taylor@eternalroofingtx.com.
Big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. They've been with us from the start, and they haven't left us yet, unlike my first wife. I'm kidding. Golly, look at me. I need to stop all that. Hey, if you're not on our Substack at March to the Pod with the number 2.substack.com, you need to get over there. And if you subscribe, you get all these stories we're putting up in your email box, unless you disable it, which is fine too. But you can at least go to the site, marchtothepod.substack.com, and read these things. The first story we talked about, the sponsorship deal, it was on there. And so was this. Ben took a trip last week. It's why we weren't on. Ben had him not a vacation. It was a work trip to Huntsville, Texas to watch football camp, and came away with some really interesting observations that we're going to get into. But first, Ben, just overall thoughts on the trip and the time you got to spend, because you got a lot of quality time around the football program.
I did, yeah. And a big thank you to the staff there for letting me in for, I was going to say the day. It was almost an entire day. But yeah, the status of the program just feels completely different than it did a year ago. And I don't know if that's going to translate to a 9 or 10 win season like we saw a few years ago. But we're trending upwards. First chance to see this team in person. I got to see the team in person a few times last year. Just athletically, size-wise, they look different. And you could tell there's a little more cohesion and togetherness, a little more stability within the program. One of the first takeaways I wrote in the article, which I know we'll get into, is just the speed, size, and depth. But more importantly, the speed. That was the one thing that kept coming up in my conversations when I was there. So really good day there. Appreciate the staff having me, and I'm excited for this season. I think this team, we'll see if they can get to a bowl game, but I mean, they're definitely going to be a lot better than they were last year.
Yes, the speed was something that really kind of jumped off. It was the first thing you talked about, how this looks more like an FBS program now, and that is important. And look, you cannot put full blame, partly, of course, but you can't put full blame on Longo for this. He came in late. The entire roster was changed over. He was left with basically leftovers, right, in the portal. Whoever didn't want these other guys for whatever reason, here you go. And all of that combined to a 2-win season. He does know that's not acceptable at Sam Houston. And credit to that staff for working hard and getting it and reshaping it. How much they reshape it, we're going to find out when the games start here in September. I want to ask you, though, because you know me, my biggest concern is the offensive line. And I'm not sure you alleviated that concern, but if not created a little more concern, because I just don't like people out with injuries. We talked about that with basketball. They may be fine come season-wise, but that's always a flag for me.
It is, yeah. So they were down 2 starters on the O-line, and like I wrote in the piece, I think the O-line was probably the biggest struggle. The day I was there was also the first day of pads, which doesn't help, and the defense is ahead of the offense typically, but has the room with the most room to grow, but it also is the room that's probably the farthest behind. You did get one of the guys back earlier this week on the O-line. You should have both of them back here pretty soon. That's what I was told. So down 2 starters, not great. The results were very up and down. I know we'll get into Landon Locke here in a minute, but I thought he did pretty well under the pressure and duress that he faced. On the O-line, I would say the biggest positive was Miles Joseph, who is a true freshman from Louisiana, was taking a lot of reps with the 1 because of the 2 injuries on the offensive line. So I think he's a guy that could probably contribute this year. And if not this year, he's going to be a high-level contributor going forward. So that was probably the biggest positive from the O-line group, but it is definitely my biggest concern for this year. And it's funny because the defensive line is probably the room I'm most excited about right now.
Oh, we're going to get into that. That one I enjoyed reading. Now, while my concerns were not alleviated and possibly even added to about reading your O-line, I did not put it. That does not mean jack nothing right now. Part of that's because it's a brand new coach, Jack Bicknell, right? He's got to have time. And the other thing is offensive line is the one unit in football. Think of it like your back line in soccer. They've got to be on the same page. They've got to communicate. They've got to work together. That is what's critical. This early in camp, I'd be surprised with all the newcomers, new coach, et cetera, if they were out there clicking. I would have been shocked. I'm not surprised by that at all. So I'm not necessarily worried either.
That's what I'm saying. I think out of all the position groups, they've got the most room to grow. They need to grow the most. But they also have the most room out of any group out there.
See, that's where you get me when you throw in them caveats. I doubt they do, but they are the group that you will see. We all know the first game is the worst game for every team every season, and the second game, you grow the most between that. But I think over the course of the season, the offensive line is the group you want to see grow better every single game. And so that happens every week in practice. And again, it was the first day in pads. And they were going up against some monsters. Yeah. They were, right? That D-line is rough, man.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching that unit work. Starting on the edge, Josh Alexander Felton, Coach Longo brought him up briefly during the transfer portal press conference back in January or February, whenever it was. And I had heard rumblings about him. You see the numbers on paper, he's like 6'3", 266. But, when you talk about speed, and that's part of the speed that I was talking about, the D-end room, linebacker room, wide receiver room is where it really popped for me. But Josh Alexander Felton is a nightmare to block. And you just look at him physically, he looks like a dude that could be playing at Texas or Texas A&M. So really enjoyed watching him play. I thought Brody Henderson looked really good. The true freshman that played a lot last year, had the recovery for the touchdown at Oregon State, looked really, really good. Him and Chauncey Cheedy, I think, are going to be the number 2 and 3 guys there on the edge. Chauncey Cheedy came on really strong at the end of last season. And then Elijah Groves, listed as a linebacker on the roster, but he weighs 245. He's super twitchy. They had him playing on the edge. Feels really good. As a second or third option on the edge. So you got to feel good about at least 4 guys there. And then the D tackle room, you're playing a 4-2-5. You need to be able to rotate those big bodies in and out. You've got 6 D tackles that you feel good about. You know, you bring back Dylan Frazier, DJ Jackson, Shafad Boyd from last year. Jara Anderson comes over from Arizona, previously played at Memphis too. I mean, he just absolutely blew up a few plays. You could tell why he belongs at this level. Justin Terrell and Dimitri Nicholas as well. So they're 6 deep at D tackle, and I feel like they're 10 deep. You got to feel good about 10 guys on that D line. And it's funny because last year we came into the season saying, do we have 2 or 3 pieces that can play at this level? And now I think you've got 10. And they just wreaked havoc all day long, especially in the run periods that they did, the inside zone periods. I mean, it was a tough sledding for the offensive line and the running backs. So I'm really excited about this defensive line group.
So my view of Groves, hybrid guy.
He could definitely drop back if he needs to.
Yeah, other guys that are kind of hybrids. Micah Parsons is not necessarily a hybrid, but he is too. He can drop into some coverage. The other one is the guy who was over at Houston Christian and then got a big sack in the Eagles Super Bowl victory.
Jalix Hunt, yeah.
Jalix Hunt, yes. I interviewed him for the nobody cares. Anyway, he reminds that's the part, like Jalix can do both as well. And when you're talking defensive schemes, name me a coordinator that doesn't like to have that ability to have a guy show rush and maybe drop off, and then you don't know who in the world's coming.
Right. Yeah. And Groves can absolutely be that guy. He's one of the many players that came over from NC State. He's familiar with the system because he knows Freddie Autry-Lindsey. Yeah, I mean, he was just kind of a piece that you didn't know what you were going to get, didn't really know he was going to play, but it's good to see him added to that defensive in depth because I think you're fine. You're 3 or 4 deep. You're maybe not 6 deep like you are at the D tackle room, but it's definitely another piece that you get to add into the defensive end equation.
Yeah, I don't know that you necessarily need 6 on the outside, and it's nice. Listen, you got to be able to get to the quarterback, right? But the part that excited me the most about what you had to say were those D tackles.
Yeah,
because that is where you stop the run, and when you stop the run, that is when you force the offense to be predictable.
And with a guy like Josh Alexander Felton, I mean, if he plays the way like I think he can and the way he showed and from everything that I've heard, I mean, you're going to have to command double teams with him or chip with the running back or bring in an extra tight end, and that's just going to allow more and more opportunities for the D tackles to get in there and wreak havoc.
Okay. Earlier this week, Sam Houston's communications team or someone in the program somewhere put out a video of one of the director of recruiting, I think it was. Oh, yeah. With a helmet and a Gatorade bottle, and the first person hits her right in the back of the head, right?
She's kind of the admin jack of all trades for the team. She does a lot.
It was hilarious. It was well done. I enjoyed it. It went viral. That's the kind of good stuff you can get out there. Those are important. I want that to go viral more than I want to do selling whether you can call the script the first place.
Right. Which I talked to Coach Longo a little bit about, and he thought it was hilarious.
It is funny, and it's a great way to raise money, and they got there, and they got what they wanted out of it. I don't think if I was a coach, I would even allow that. And I can be a little more lenient than a lot of football coaches.
Yeah.
But there was one person on that video, the reason I bring that up, who walked out there, grabbed the ball, was like, really? That's it? Knocked the dang bottle off. And that was the QB. That's what I want my QB1 to do.
Yeah.
What did you see in that development? Because I'm going to say if there's a year we're going to see a jump, it's year 1 to year 2. And I think you're seeing that. I'm curious what you saw.
Yeah, you did see the development. I think there's a couple parts to it. The first one is things were pretty vanilla that they ran offensively. This is day 3. It didn't run a ton of 11 on 11. It was a lot of 7-on-7 stuff too. so you didn't have a ton of reps, but he minimized, the big losses, taking a huge sack, just a blatant interception, not stepping up in the pocket, like that kind of stuff. He avoided the big misses, which was really good to see. I thought his pocket of presence was a lot better this year. I mean, the way he was able to get out of the pocket and feel the pressure and scramble was really impressive. I thought his accuracy was really good too. There's only one throw the entire day, whether that be in 1-on-1, 7-on-7, 11-on-11 that he missed. It was a tight end that had broke free, was wide open. He should have had it, didn't have it. But besides that, I mean, he was pinpoint accurate the entire day, didn't make the big mistake, which is what you want to see from your starting quarterback. So I came away pretty impressed with Landon Locke. I think you can see the development for him this year, and you can feel pretty good about him heading into this year.
I think he's likely solidified himself as QB1.
He's QB1. Yeah.
He's QB1. Okay. Well, that is good. The pocket presence, that stuff you're talking about, tells me what you'll hear a lot of announcers and analysts say slows the game. The game is slowing
down. Yeah.
Well, and that I know that could be, announcer speak, analyst speak, but it is reality. Like if you want to know how fast these dudes are, go stand on the sideline and tell me your rear's going to get out there and do anything. Come on now.
Stand there and take the hit. I know.
They are fast. And the higher up you get, the faster they get. And that was always one thing that I was like in awe of every Sunday watching the Cowboys, because everyone out there is at the top level of speed, right?
Yeah.
It's just incredible. So, yes, they're fast. So the game is, by slowing down, it's not that it's slow motion necessarily, but it's that experience. He knows, he understands, he reads, he sees it coming, and he says, you know what, okay, I can step up now. Whereas last year, he dropped back, set his back foot, and they're on. Yeah. And he didn't know what to do. This year, he drops back, sets his back foot, they're on him, and he goes, I can get this away. That's what the slowing the game down means. It's just really better decisions under pressure.
Right. Yeah, and it's not like he made a bunch of big plays or any highlight reel throws. He did his job, didn't make the big mistake, and that's what you want to see from your quarterback right now.
Okay, got a question for you. Because I read, as I do all the time, the Bearkat Bites newsletter this morning. And Lane Fobbs does a fantastic job. By the way, I just want to reiterate again how fun it was to meet all those, see Colton again, and to meet Colin and to meet in person Lane. I still call him Fobbs. To me, though, it was fun. It was great to see Reichert again there and stuff. That's the part of the job I like more than anything, is being around all those other guys.
Yeah.
But when I was reading Bearkat, and by the way, I want to say thank you, Fobbs, for the shout out to the March to the Pod. We all work together because it's the only way we're really going to succeed. That's same for you, Colin. You put out a lot of stuff that I look at all the time. Anyhow, his question was, we got a QB1. We maybe have an O-line. We'll figure that out. But who are we going to throw to? You've got candidates, but there wasn't anybody that stepped up last year. Who's going to be that guy to step up and be that number one wideout guy?
I mean, Chris Reed is definitely going to be the guy. I mean, he showed it towards the end of last year. And he didn't practice, and we'll get to him maybe in a little bit. But I really believe, and from my conversations, Chris is going to be the guy. He proved it last year, and he's shown it, this offseason. Thought Grady O'Neal looked really good again. I mean, he is not going to blow you away with his athleticism, his size, or really anything, but he's going to find a way to get open, and he's going to catch the ball. He's that typical slot receiver.
He's a route runner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Julian Edelman.
Danny Amendola, right.
Yes, those guys get you first downs.
Yeah. So those are the two names that initially come to mind. I think Tim Burns has had a really good offseason. I thought he had a good day. Elijah Kaysen, I was really impressed with. So Chris Reed wasn't practicing. Elijah stepped in and took a lot of those reps with the ones. Really liked what I saw from Elijah. Kyan Barry Johnson is another dude that athletically, I mean, you just watch him and he jumps off the page. So we'll see what he does. And then Ty Sexton, also a true freshman. coming in from Katy. It was here during spring ball. I mean, didn't see him a ton in the live reps just because he's mixed in with the 2s and 3s, but the one-on-ones were super impressive with him. So you have a lot more depth there this year, and I think at the top you're a little more proven than you were coming into last season.
All right. So what I want to see from our wideouts and kind of want to hear from you with this, because if you're going to go in Longo's system, in my opinion, by the way, I know we got some comments. We'll get to those here at the end of the segment, answer those before we move on and talk about soccer. And then we're also going to do position preview at the end. But back to the wideouts. What Longo's offense needs is those two different types. You mentioned one of them, those possession guys, right? Those guys that's going to get open, get you those first downs, the slot guys. You got to have the speed guys. I know we got Tim Burns, and you can put him inside receiver, outside receiver, however. But is there enough of a balance of wide receivers to fit this offensive scheme? Because some of this is predicated on get the ball out as fast as you can to the outside receiver, like a Tim Burns or a Reed, and let them make a move and go, right? The other part is they got to run down the field and outrun people. But you also need those other people to do the routes on the inside.
Yeah.
Do they have that balance?
I think they do. I mean, in the slot, Elijah, I think with his size and twitchiness could get into the slot if needed. I like Derek Bledsoe too. He's proven it at this level. He can get into the slot also. On the outside, you've got Chris Reed and Tim Burns, who can create separation. Tim Burns is a burner. I mean, no pun intended. Chris Reed is kind of your typical X on the outside. I think Kyan Barry Johnson can be that too. Another guy I forgot to mention who's got some good size at about 6'1" is Kamari Maxwell. Out on the edge, coming out from Austin P. He had a really good freshman season there too. So you've got enough depth in the slot position. I think you've got 2-3 guys who can fit that role. And then you've got 3 or 4 guys on the outside filling that X and Y positions you feel pretty good about. I think some of them still need to maybe prove it at this level a little bit. They've got the tools to do it, but they need to prove it this year. Chris Reed and Grady O'Neal are the only 2 guys that have really proven it. Need a couple more guys to prove it. You have a lot of guys with the tools to do it, and I think you have a lot of options. I think 1 or 2 of these guys is going to step up. Just a numbers game. You've got 5 or 6 other options. 1 or 2 of them are going to pan out. But yeah, I feel pretty good about the depth and the variety of different guys out there.
I've watched Tim Burns blow past people, or for dad joke purposes, burn people.
Yeah.
And so I know he can. You got to have somebody who can get it to him. And I feel like Landon Locke is probably going to be able to do that better this year.
And he needs a third guy. I mean, I think part of the reason why he struggled at times last year was he almost became too narrowed in on Chris Reed and Grady O'Neal. It's like it's these 2 guys or it's nobody, now, and you need 3 or 4 options out there.
You mentioned somebody in your section, and this is where I'm going to get myself in trouble, on the kitty cats, the freshman cats. Yes, I did. I did that. Yes. I want to talk about one of them. You can read about all of them on marchtothepod.substack.com. You had Ty Sexton, a guy that came in early and got some time. If there's a guy who may break into it, okay, let's look at how your camp report from an NFL minicamp perspective. And so what are you looking for during the preseason, right? Carson Beck had elite accuracy, right? And he was outstanding. But I noticed the guy like Simi Fehoko, who used to be with the Cowboys, catching that beautiful corner fade. Guys like that might be outside, but when the camp starts, but by the end of the season could be getting solid reps as a 4, maybe a 5. Yeah. And Ty Sexton seems to be that.
Yeah, and he's a building piece, building block going forward. And like I said, didn't get as much action in the live periods just because he is kind of buried on the depth chart. But conversations you have are really positive, and the one-on-ones is when it really shined. I mean, he can go out there and absolutely cook someone. And he's got the hands to do it, which is that doesn't exactly translate to live game action, but it's good to see it there, and it's good to hear some good things around him. And he's been here for about 5 or 6 months now at this point.
And by no means am I saying that I'm predicting this season's going to go sideways. Okay, I'm not doing this, especially not yet. That's in a couple weeks. Wait, no, that's when we give our predictions. And dang it, Ben. All right, so I want to say that if, and I don't think it will, this season goes straight sideways early or by mid-season, I'm going to want to see more of Ty Sexton simply to get that work with QB1, because if things go the way we want them to, QB1's going to be here for a couple more years. This guy could be a wide receiver that could be here for a couple of years. And when you consider that, they've got an ability to get a connection together that in a couple of years, and I also want to throw out that if someday we get a Protect College Sports Act, which I really don't want to talk about tonight because it's irritating me, especially with what came out today. Anyhow, maybe I'll write about it. Maybe I probably will. But if that comes through, eventually we're getting a 5 for 5.
Well, that was what I was going to say. And
that's 3 years is possible.
No harm in throwing a guy out there for all 12 games.
Yes, you don't have to. That was one of the things, and I realized the reasoning why, but man, that 4 games and that rule is great. Could you know how happy Keeler would have been the last year of FCS if he didn't have to divide up all that playing time?
I know. Would have been a lot less of a headache.
A lot less of a headache. Players emerging as leaders. You mentioned Chris Reed, that he is that guy when he steps in there, they want to listen to him. But there's another guy that you mentioned of the 3 that I want to ask you about, and that's Tyler Bailey. He's in a position group that was much maligned last year for good reason, because they didn't cover any damn body, and that was the defensive backs.
Yeah.
I'm being a little outrageous with that. But Tyler Bailey is the lone returner in the safety room, and you wrote about how he came into a leadership role, and he has galvanized those guys around him. And if you want to get a better DB room, that's where you got to start.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a great kid, too. He's been on the podcast for Sam Houston for a while now, the Cat's Eye One. Just a really well-spoken kid. I think he was on the SAC committee, too. Guys just respect him. I mean, every time before they head out there, they're getting a break, on him. He's making sure guys are lined up correctly when they're not on the field, when they are on the field. And you could just tell the people or the players rally around him, which is cool to see. And I know you touched on Chris Reed, too. A lot of the times when guys aren't practicing, they just kind of stand to the side, maybe they just kind of walk around, hang out. I thought it was really cool to see Chris Reed so involved in every drill that his position group of the offense was doing. He was the one snapping the ball to the quarterbacks, working with the wide receivers, helping with drills. And that kind of stuff is what sticks out. So, and it's cool to see one of your better players do that.
What do the good leaders do?
They lead by example.
Yeah, that's what they do. All right, so we know we've got a QB1. General Sam has a good question. The hell we gonna do if QB1 gets hurt, Ben?
Yeah, so DJ was taking the reps with the 2s.
How did he look? Because we've had some DJ Bailey conversations.
Yeah, I thought he was fine. Nothing. It was. I was gonna say similar to Landon Locke, but it was kind of similar to him. Nothing fantastic. He didn't make any bad decisions, but my guess is by the end of the year, Brett Holloway or Mason Holtzclaw might be the QB2. That's just my guess from what I've heard, what I saw. I mean,
can I give you my opinion?
Yeah.
DJ Bailey might be a good D2 quarterback next year. Just saying.
Really good. Or FCS, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Brett Holloway, both of the freshman quarterbacks look good. It didn't look like things were too fast for them, which is what you want to see. But Brett Holloway, I think, completed the deepest pass of the day of any quarterback, probably 40, 45 yards in the air. He's really good with his legs. Coach Longo spoke very highly about him in my conversations with him. So I really came away impressed with the 2 freshman quarterbacks, and I wouldn't be shocked to see either one of them possibly end up as the backup quarterback by the end of this year.
All right, the most important question. And I'm interested to hear your answer because I know my answer and what it is. Did your visit to camp change your projection and or how many wins you think this team can get in 2026?
I've been saying 5-7. I don't think it changed that. I think it validated it, but I think it also reinforced that I think the ceiling for this team could be 7 wins. But I think it also reinforced that the floor for this team could be 3 wins, somewhere around there. I think and that hinges on the offensive line play. If the offensive line play is not good, maybe 3 wins. I think if it could just be average, you'll get the 5 wins, which I think this team could be. If they beat expectations, I think this team could be pretty good, and push for a 7-5 kind of season. And depending on where those 7 wins come from, I mean, you could be pushing for a Conference USA championship spot. So I think it just reinforced my belief of what this team was more than anything.
Okay, the last time I knew anything about this team, they were a 2-win team, and they were not good at 2 wins.
They are much different.
So reading this helped, right? My expectations rose for this team. I can tell you from what I'm gathering now, and again, preseason's all about the hype, right? There really isn't hype, right, around saying it's a lot of like, we got to prove it is what I feel like I'm seeing from this program.
Yeah.
And I like that. And so I think, spoiler alert, they're going to win more games than they did last year.
I think they will too.
Look at me being positive, Ben.
I agree. They're going to win more than last year. It's how many more?
How many more? A couple of weeks. I pretty much have what I think is going to happen down, but we're going to get our predictions out there in a couple of weeks. Keep here for them because you'll get to hear the reasoning behind it, and stay tuned over on our Substack as well. That segment went about twice as long as it was supposed to, which sure, that's all right. But that means we're going to run through the rest of the show. Maybe quicker, maybe not. We'll see. What else we got to do besides watch Field of Dreams and talk cats?
Yeah, I know.
If you're enjoying this show, we would like you to help us by rating and reviewing March to the Pod on your favorite podcast platform. As I've told you before, get over to that Substack page and subscribe there. Subscribe and like on our YouTube page so you get all those as well. And follow us, whatever you got to do. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can get that as well. You find us everywhere by going at March to the Pod, March number 2, the Pod. We're also proud members of the CUSA Podcast Roundtable. They have shows covering all 10 Conference USA programs. Keep getting the questions in. We have another football segment coming up at the end, and we will get all of those in there at that time. But next, we got to talk about some soccer. Anyone else watch that last night? I did, and that was fun.
It was good.
We're going to hear more about it after this word from our friends at Eternal Roof.
Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
I've been telling you to get to the Substack. And if you were there this week, you saw a preview of the soccer team. Oh, yes, I told you. We're going to step up the game this year. And so you're going to get previews. Volleyball preview is coming out, I think, next week, right before they begin a few days before they begin their season. They have a couple exhibitions coming up. And then we got a football preview there. We're going to go through these. You're going to get previews of most. I cannot guarantee every single sport, But most sports that we can, you're going to get a preview on. Also, we're doing football grades. I don't know. We'll get them out when we can. Maybe Sunday night, Monday-ish. We'll see.
Well, depends on the day of the game, too. If the game's on Tuesday, that's going to change it also.
Jesus Christ, that does too. Yes. We'll get the grades out. And one of us has a real job while the other does not. So that can delay some of this as well. We're going to have football grades. We're going to have grades after the weekends of men's and women's basketball and baseball, softball. We're putting it out there. We're going to discuss a lot more. That's our Substack. That's what I'm telling you. Get over there, get subscribed while you can. Now, that soccer preview, my opinion, I thought was had me leaving saying that this soccer team maybe they're going to be solid and they could be pretty good.
The ceiling is high for the team, but I think the floor is also really high. And
that's nice.
Yeah.
We saw some of that last night when they went to Oklahoma State, who, by the way, when you're P4 and you got a soccer facility like that was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I do like, though, that the Cats had the ability to feel spoiled in that game, and the reserves didn't go sit down in the comfy chair backs, and they did not. And the announcers mentioned that a couple times. Like, I can't believe they're actually standing. Yeah, we don't normally get seats over here.
Yeah, they stay ready.
Yes, I thought that was awesome. But they go into Oklahoma State, and they come out with a 1-1 draw. Now, they were outplayed. Let's be very clear at the start of this. That is P4 versus not P4. Okay, and the talent level was different, and it showed, especially in possession. Cowgirls controlled possession throughout. They had 24 shots to Sam Houston's 4, right? The defense, there were 14 shots in the second half. And wait until you hear what we have to say about the goalkeeping. Man, that goalkeeping is solid right now.
And that was maybe the biggest question of the team coming into this year.
It was. And Hannah Stipp last night showed that it is not. She made 7 saves, keeping them. They kept them off the scoreboard for the final 77 minutes.
And they weren't easy saves there late, too. There were some really good ones.
Oh, yeah. No, we've got video of one of them here coming up that is one that I actually was like, oh, I hope she didn't get hurt because that would be a really bad thing to happen right now.
Yeah.
But okay, Oklahoma State took the lead 13th minute, but then Gabrielle Gibson off, I'm not going to say short, but medium range set piece.
A little bit outside the box.
It was just outside the box. And when I saw this, I want to go ahead and say, even though they're not here to back me up and tell me I'm lying, but when I saw them set up there, I looked and said, oh, this is a dangerous set piece. And immediately my son looked, because he's a big soccer guy right now, a Messi jersey and all that crud. I was like, this is a dangerous set piece. But boy, was I unprepared for what came next. If you're watching, take a look. If you're listening, keep those ears open because this is pretty good.
Time, we'll get another look at it at the replay. She strikes it well, gets it around the wall. If you're Logan Marks, I think by her own standards, maybe could have gotten there. You have the 6-player wall. It's from distance, but Gibson with enough power to sneak it into.
Oh, she wasn't getting it. That shot was top quality stuff, man. To bend it around the wall the way she did and to find where the goal, because the goalkeeper's lining the wall up there because she's daring her to get it around it, right? So the goalie's playing more middle, thinking that she's going to try to bend it on the opposite side into the upper 90, like a lot of good players can do, like Beckham could do. That's what she was thinking. Gibson said, oh, no. Watch this. That was quality, dude.
It put it right inside the post, too. I mean, you couldn't have put it farther away from the goalie. And it bounced, like, right at the goal line, too. It was a kind of a funky angle. But, yeah, you can't draw it up much better. And didn't have a lot of momentum offensively last night until maybe the last 5 to 7 minutes. And we know the offense for this team was the question, but if you can be really good at set pieces, you can expose some schools at this level,
Oh, yeah. Look, a lot of these games are won, especially when the teams are somewhat even. I'm not going to say these were, but even in games where you're not, you see it in the Premier League all the time, right? You pack it in the box, you play your defense, you try to get the counterattacks, right? And then if you get set pieces, that's where you make your money and can strike against any team.
Yeah.
Any team. And World Cups are decided all the time off set pieces. That's how you do that stuff.
Penalties and set pieces. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Thankfully, there were no penalties last night. Although there were a couple of reviews. I was like, I think
that they were almost
that just get camera time or something, I think. But no, that was a fantastic shot. Knotted the game up at 1. And I thought that attack-wise, the first half was not near as good as the second half, which is fine. It's the first game of the season. Because I thought in the first half, as soon as the midfielders touched the ball, they weren't. It's not. There's a difference between trying to lead a kick to an Erling Haaland, right? Because he's so darn fast and huge and monstrous. And then there's a difference between kicking it just to get it to the other end of the field. And it felt like that. Like none of them were dangerous. None of them were setting anything up in the first half. In the second half, especially as they gained a little confidence late, you saw them trying to get some of that counterattack with the break and hit that right. And they almost did a couple times. They got a lot more dangerous in the last 25 minutes of that game.
Yeah, and there was that one with, I think, 5 to 7 minutes left. It was coming down the left side. And, I mean, it was a little – you kind of had to lob it over the goalie, and it went just wide and out of bounds. But if that thing is 3 feet to the left, it would have been 2-1 with about 5 minutes left. They had some quality opportunities there late, but it took them a while. But like you said, it's the first game, and it's a quality opponent. So, overall, you got to feel pretty good.
The defense was under fire. Big time.
Bend, don't break.
Ooh. Over the last 13 minutes, the defense faced 5 shots and 3 corners.
Yeah.
Now, let's show you, first off, the defense. That includes a good save, but not the save you're really going to want to see from Hannah Stipp. This was off a set piece in a very dangerous location as well.
And again tonight, to kind of stop and start and change directions in a hurry. This is a straight free kick into the wall, deflected down off of a cowgirl, and then poked towards the goal, but deflected away. A save by Hannah Stipp. Out of bounds, it'll stay with Oklahoma State, but Stipp.
That's one of those, if you're in the stands, you're just yelling, get it out.
Yeah, just clear it.
Clear. That was, first off, great job by the wall to get the block on there and deflect that thing, because it was on its way to being dangerous.
That thing was moving all over the place.
But the reaction on the defense and that back line, I'm not going to say it was perfect. It by no means was perfect. But for the first game of the season, they showed a lot of moxie. And then there were breakdowns, but they didn't allow breakdowns to become goals. I thought that was huge. Now, one of the reasons why
you got a great goalie back there
is you got a goalie making high-class saves. Here is by far, it could be the save of the year for Hannah Stipp in game 1.
No, you're right. And you're seeing multiple players getting involved as well, too, from Oklahoma State and new players, which I think just continues to build confidence because, again, it's easy for us to say, but it's the first game of the season.
Oh, that's a gorgeous ball through. Ben Boydell deflected free. What a save.
First off, how they set that up is exactly what you want to see the Cats do on a counter. Great counter job by Oklahoma State to get her free.
Great through ball.
Oh, my goodness. Hannah did the splits. And my first thought, and I think I even put it out on her March to the Pod account, Stipp means stop in football.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, and she came over from North Dakota State. She started 11 matches there last year. You know, the numbers were okay, but I was really interested to see what Savannah Madden, who is the specific goalkeeper coach, she played for the Houston Dash, played collegiately. Kind of her first coaching job, but had played at a high level. And man, the early returns are very good. She was the coach that, Corey, you were talking about. They kept panning to, thinking was Coach Ayers last night.
They did. They barely showed. Like, only time you saw a shot of Kendall is when they were in the background. She was in the background. I was like, what are they doing? Like,
yeah. But yeah, shout out to Coach Madden. Goalkeeper returns have been great early on, which has been good to see.
They have. Sunday night, you've got nothing else to do anyway, so turn on some ESPN Plus. I don't know. Some of you may go to church. Do they still do church at night? That tells you how out of religious I am. Some places do. I'm just on that fast train to hell. The Cats continue their season opening 4-game road trip, 7 p.m. Sunday night against Lamar in Beaumont at the LU Soccer Complex. And, yeah, I might be on the fast train to hell. But I can have some fun getting there. Just need one of you to come save me at the end. So now let's go to a read from a sponsor. We're going to come back. We're going to get to your questions about the football. I promise you we will get there. We're going to talk a little more, as we haven't already. We're going to touch on the running backs a little more. And we'll get to your questions before we end the show, right after this word from Eternal Roofing.
Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Next Door's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com.
So it just occurred to me that I talked about me being on the fast track to hell, and then cut to an ad from our sponsor, Eternal Roofing. I apologize. Listen, Taylor Andrus & Company is far better than I can promise you that. So is Ben and his hat. That's some Sammy gear. Seeing more of that, seeing that on these things, what the kits or whatever it is, the equipment gear given out to the player, seeing more of that. My hope is that means it's about to start popping up in stores.
That's the hope.
Yeah, man, there was a great conversation on Twitter this week about helmets and alternate helmets. And if I could make a uniform for the Cats right now, it'd be all black, orange stripe down the side. It could say Bearkats across the chest. It doesn't even have to. Get a number, name and number on the back. And listen to me, outline it in white, just a little bit, just enough to make that pop.
Yeah. Well,
and then on the helmet, black helmet, the 2 stripes, because we know Sam Houston, traditional, right? We want to fit some of that. And then the Sammy head. That, to me, kind of like Big Red. The Big Red helmet that WKU has is just tremendous. This might not be at the Big Red tremendous, but it's so good that that uniform would be – I think it would grab the attention and get a lot of discussion on social media.
Yeah, it was good. I love seeing all the designs out there. You know, maybe we don't use all of them, but I think there's some really good ones.
We got some creative people.
Well, I know. Well, and speaking of golf, because this is the Sammy golf hat, August 29th is the kickoff dinner for the golf programs at the Walker Education Center. $125 a ticket for dinner. Hal Sutton, former major champion, is going to be there.
Ooh, I've heard of him. I'm old.
Hal Sutton will be there. So the link for tickets is on the golf social medias. And then a little bit of other scoop. We were talking about this the other night, Corey. I know men's basketball has added 2 more games to their schedule. One against a Pac-12 program on the road, another against an American program on the road. So it is a very road-heavy schedule. Going to be a little brutal, but schedule is almost complete.
My guy Mike Davis when he was at Texas Southern after he left Indiana. Poor guy followed Bobby Knight and then ended up at Texas Southern.
Yeah.
And then he went to Detroit. Anyway, his son was really good. Anyhow, that's the kind of schedule he used to play. And that's what Mudge looks like he's building this year at Sam Houston. Just brutal road trips involved. And I also want to apologize. You're getting Cory after dark right now. Apparently 7 o'clock is the hour that it's after dark for me or something. So
we're going to wrap this up quick. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, look, we've already begun right before the cut to Eternal Roofing about my damnation, right? Like, let's just be honest here. Okay. And by the way, golf, it's called a kickoff dinner.
Yes.
Not a tea time dinner?
That would be a good way to phrase it.
I just thought that was odd. Because, yes,
football's
football's kicking
drive.
off, but when I hear kickoff, I think soccer, football.
Yeah, it's true.
So you mean football where we play it mainly with our hands, sir?
And it's the kickoff dinner.
There will be kicking.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into our skill position review. I feel like we've covered the wide receivers pretty solid today. So, Ben, give us a preview of the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, you got two bell cows who were taking the bulk of the load for you last year. So, Coco Brown, he got the reps with the ones, but Alton McCaskill was getting in there too. They are going to be the two guys that are going to take the majority of the reps. Caden Wingfield had a good spring. He was another guy that was here early from Aledo High School, very highly decorated player coming out of Aledo, which is a really good program, really good size. I think he's one of the guys that could factor into the number 3 spot. Another guy that didn't see a lot of him at training camp the other day, but was impressed by his toughness was Jarian Parker. There was a bug going through the team. There were 4 or 5 guys that were puking their guts out. Jarian probably had it the worst, but he went through the whole practice and toughed it out. He had a lot of success as a true freshman at Southern Illinois, played sparingly last year for Sam Houston. So, the 2 guys for sure that are going to be there at the top. It's going to be Coco and Alton McCaskill. And then Caden Wingfield and Jarian Parker are probably the 2 guys that I would look to try to solidify themselves as the third back.
You're going to need all 4 of them.
Oh, yeah.
This is I don't know if anyone's ever watched football, but it's pretty physical.
And I mean, Sam Houston runs the air raid, but they're going to run the ball too. I mean, the running backs get a lot of work, especially in the passing game.
Phil Longo likes to run the ball. Okay, let's get to your questions, comments over here. General Sam watching on YouTube. Thank you again for all those watching and listening. He said it's surprising with Holloway, going back to the QB 2 through 4 conversation, being more of a dual threat, which isn't a Longo prototype. Interesting. I want Ben's thoughts about it.
It's funny. I asked him this exact question because we were standing there watching the QBs throw, in warm-ups. And I asked him about that, his system fit. And I think his arm talent is at a higher level than a lot of people expect. And with his arm talent, and I mean, it showed. He completed the longest pass of any quarterback in the air during the live period. So the arm talent, I think, is a lot better than people expect. And with the arm talent being so good, his escapability from the pocket, I think you can design a little bit of run action for him. You saw that with Hunter Watson some last year. So I asked Longo about this, but he said he fits their system perfectly. And I think the arm talent's at a little bit higher of a level than what a lot of people give Brett Holloway credit for.
Very interesting question to me.
Yeah.
Or statement. Because I saw a video out there on the old Twitter machine, X machine, of Reese Davis of ESPN sat down in a film study with Kirk Cignetti at Indiana. And they had some conversations about this. And Cignetti, I feel like we put people into the boxes. They don't feel like the coaches try to put all their recruit quarterbacks into a box. For example, Cignetti says they've had 6 different starters over the last 6 years, and they're all different types. And if Mendoza by far was the best, obviously. And hey, Rice's AD that went to Purdue. Nick say on the championship talk A about Indiana A.
Yeah. That was not the smartest thing to say.
That was not good. That was not good. But Cignetti talked about how this year's quarterback, he's got Hoover from TCU, right? He's different. He's different than Mendoza. He's different than the rest. He's got a little dual threat, but he's more pocket passer-ish than Mendoza was also a preparation guy, but he goes through those things. It's not about the prototype. Yes, I mean, look, if Longo had his way, he would find that guy that's 6'7", throws darts all over the field, makes the quick decisions and stuff like right.
Kind of like Mason Holtzclaw is.
Kind of like a Holtzclaw, yeah. But if I'm Longo, I got that guy, but I got this other guy that he adds another dimension.
Yeah.
The problem you run into in football anymore is when you have a guy that can't move as well in the pocket, it tends to hurt your offense. It is a whole nother dimension that you can rely on. And Cignetti talked about how the true dual threats, he'd run them 10 to 12 times a game, right? And Mendoza, he said, I only ran him 3 times a game because I knew he'd give me 3 or 4 scrambles.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me how coaches go through that. I feel like coaches see that far differently than we do.
Right.
Next one. Next question from General.
I'm glad this was asked.
How was Coach Bicknell's presence?
Yeah, so Jack Bicknell, I mean, he is
I'm sorry, Bicknell. I apologize.
No, you're good. Tough dude. And the guys respond to him. It's interesting. So I was standing on the press box side the whole time, and the O-line typically gets most of their work done on the visitor side, around the goalpost on the visitor side over there in that corner. So didn't see them in the drills a ton, but was back in the office afterwards talking with Coach Longo, one of the team's advisors who was over there with the O-line group the whole time. And the other guy that was in there with Longo, one of the advisors to the team, came away so impressed with how the guys responded to him. And I mean, they are ahead of where they were at this point last year. And I think a lot of that is to his credit. They've got a lot of room to grow, but Coach Bicknell knows Coach Longo's system. He's been with him at Ole Miss, North Carolina, Wisconsin, all of that, all of those different stops. So he knows the system. The guys respond to him. I think he's doing a good job. I think he's going to, like I said, the room has a lot of room to grow. And I think a lot of that has to do with their head coach, with their position coach.
I do think the O-line's better, and I think he's going to be a large reason behind it, and with some other factors thrown in there as well. One last one here. We need to start seeing hats at lids.
Hats everywhere.
Yes, but if anyone knows anyone at lids, can you let them know that my anxiety goes really high when I walk into their store filled with nothing but product and I can barely move without hitting another hat rack?
Yeah. Just space it out a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little hard. And now I got a puppy with me, right? Now it gets a little challenging sometimes in there.
Yeah. Are we hitting the tight end room? Because I had some notes there too.
I was going to put tight ends with O-lines unless you want to put them in
well,
now.
Well, let's just hit on Jack Merriman, the freshman, because that goes back to the article earlier. Merriman primarily played quarterback at Montgomery High School, but they recruited him as a tight end, has great size to be a tight end, had a couple of really nice catches, moves very, very well for a kid that's a true freshman that's his size. The one thing I was talking to Coach Longo before practice, and he brought up Merriman and said he's going to be a great tight end, but the level of physicality's got to show up, because he hasn't really played at the line of scrimmage. And I mean, look great with his hands, individual drills, but they're running special teams drills, and he got a little bit of a lick. I mean, he got put on his back a little bit. So the level of physicality's got to grow up a little bit for Merriman, but I mean, the tools and the intangibles in the hands are there. I think he's a guy to be excited for.
And again, he's one of those that could really benefit from the 5-for-5 rule that's coming, because in games where you're either ahead or behind, he can get more into more of those reps because he is going to be a really solid one in the future. Listen, these high school guys coming in, I know I call them the kitty cats, and it's
the baby cats. That's what Sirianni was calling the freshmen this last year.
No, they can be the baseball team. 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 They I know. Kitty cats. I know. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just dumb. Anyhow, when they come in, it is a real change, not just in speed, not just in physicality, but they grow so much having that first off season. That's why it's so big for these coaches to get freshmen on campus in January, because when you get there in January, you're getting that January through May with your strength coach.
Yep.
Right. And the spring ball and everything that goes with that. The most important thing, though, is that strength coach development, because I promise you, the freshmen that come in January are ahead of the freshmen coming in July, well ahead. They know, they understand, they've got their routines down. Now, I'm not saying drop out of school and come to Sam Houston in January, graduate, do the things you got to do to get admitted to the school. Anyway, but that's the big thing. And that's a thing that we're seeing, I think, with Landon Locke too, right? Like these guys, the entire team looks bigger and faster and stronger. And a lot of that's that off-season strength conditioning work.
Well, and two of the freshmen that we hit on today, Caden Winkfield and Ty Sexton, were here for spring ball. So, I mean, it shows up. I mean, those are the guys that look like, they pretty much belong at this level right now because they've gone through training camp and pretty much a full off season. My last football note that I thought was fun, I didn't write about this or post about it, but they did have a DJ at practice, which I thought was fun. They had the turntables and everything out there. The music was good.
Nice. It wasn't playing the slow country?
No.
What?
No.
What? You with the time. Slow country, that's what's in.
I like it, but I don't know about a football practice at 8 a.m.
It's not unusual, by the way, for football practices to have music. Most all of them do anymore.
But they don't have a DJ spinning the turntables for you.
That is different.
Mixing the songs going from one to another.
Oh, was it on the new sound system?
No, it was not. They had their own sound system set up at about the 50-yard line, behind the white section of the sideline. But
I love it, though.
It was good. I thought it was cool.
At my daughter's elementary school, their parents' field day or whatever they had last year at the end of the year, they had a DJ out there spinning Taylor Swift and stuff, and K-pop Demon Hunters and all that.
A little bit of a different genre, but I get the vibe.
A little bit. When you walk on a college football field, you leave your sensitivities at home if you don't want to hear the music.
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of how that one goes. One last question for you before we get out of here. The press box, man. This was your first look at it. What were your impressions?
Yeah, my first in-person look. It feels like a completely new stadium, honestly. It makes it feel like you're not walking into Texas or Texas A&M, but it feels like an FBS environment. The scoreboard's up there. Scoreboard looks great. The press box, you can see the suites, you can see the club level, you can see up into the press box. It looks like a real press box. Just gives the whole stadium a completely new vibe, and got to enter in through the field house, walk down into the stadium, see the press box, see the new scoreboard. So, from start to finish for a player, when you're entering, it feels like an FBS facility, which is really good. Nice.
That's really what I want to hear. Now let's fix where the visiting AD sits in the media. Okay.
Yep. Let's just flip them.
just flip them. Big thank you to everyone, especially if you stuck with us this long and listened to all my diatribes today. Thank you so much. Whether you're on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or you're listening to us on wherever you can find us, thank you so much. We're going to be back next week. We have got the next few weeks. It's coming, and we're going to go into some more position previews. And then we got predictions coming up soon.
Yeah. And season is almost here. Less than a month away.
I'm under one hand, not under one hand, but I'm on one hand with counting the number of Saturdays I have left.
Well, and it's 2 weeks
for the year.
2 weeks from today, there's like a 15-game FCS slate on a Thursday night, and I couldn't be more pumped up.
Yes, and then on that Saturday night at 8:00 is a Tarleton Prairie View game in Stephenville on ESPN2.
That one and Jack State, North Dakota State might be my two favorite games from that weekend.
Yeah, but North Dakota State went up.
I know, but I want to see how they do against Jack State, who's proven themselves at this level. I kind of want to see how the two compare.
That will be interesting. That will be, yeah. And you're going to get one of the best for North Dakota State because they haven't had the demolition of bodies that we saw, of depth that you see when a team comes up, like we saw with Sam Houston and Kennesaw, right?
Yeah. So football is 2 weeks away, really.
Football's here. I could give you my takes on the Hall of Fame game. I
Boy,
think Carson Beck is the real deal.
him and Haynes King.
Not because Haynes King's a winner, dude. All winners win. I wasn't. Were you surprised to see him pull that out when he had one last chance?
I was watching on an airplane, but I had a lot of fun. That was the most fun plane ride I've had.
Oh, for a preseason game, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
but Carson Beck is the better overall quarterback when you talk about things that I can grade. Haynes King has the things you can't grade, which is the ability to just will you to a win.
Yeah.
But Carson Beck has got that accuracy that can win you Super Bowls as well. I know they're playing vanilla defenses. I get it. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at how they fit into those tight slots, those windows, the fade routes that mentioned the one earlier for Hogue, how he dropped that ball perfectly. Anyway, I thought he was great. I thought both quarterbacks were great, and Arizona might have a quarterback controversy coming up.
They need something. There ain't a lot going on for them.
They have a coach that's a play caller.
Yeah, he looked good.
He did. Listen, I'm not saying you can't call plays and be the head coach. We see it can happen.
A little easier at the NFL level, a little less to manage.
It is. I also think, and I want to, this goes back to the Kirk Cignetti conversation, because he watches a ton of film. And so Reese Davis asked him about, like, how do you do it? He's in the team meetings. He doesn't call the plays necessarily. But he even said he's a CEO type. He trusts those coaches to go and coach and go and do their things and get the team in positions. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm done blabbering tonight. Cory After Dark is over. We'll be back next week. Big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Until then, stay tuned to our Substack page. And Ben, take us home.
Eat 'em up, Cats, and let's go beat the Lamar Cardinals in soccer on Sunday.
And the St. Louis Cardinals, possibly.